It does make sense not to mess around. Oh, we're live here. Hello. No, that was fake. That was fake. I knew we were going to be live.
Did you though?
You didn't.
Yes, I did.
Wow.
I did.
My audio sounds really good.
Anyway, welcome to another live taping of the Was It Good podcast. We're going to kick it off in just a second. Obviously, the big discussion for us today is going to be WandaVision.
Actually, it's the only discussion.
Now, there are things I want to talk about. It doesn't have to be in the actual pod. It could be in the live stream portion.
Fair enough.
We don't have time for that.
Like, for example, what do we think about the economic state of the Antarctic expedition from Stargate?
It's not good.
Right around the time that the Atlantis show. I don't know what I'm talking about.
It wasn't good. I can answer that right now because it's Stargate.
But was it good?
No, it was not.
Was it?
It was not good.
I've actually been rewatching a lot of Stargate, and Atlantis does not
age well.
No. A lot of those characters are very, very annoying.
Atlantis was.
Just realized that now.
Atlantis was a poor clone of SG-1.
Terrible.
They tried to legitimately replicate it. What makes
Replicators.
But what makes SG-1 is
SG-1.
Richard Dean Anderson being Jack
Teal'c.
O'Neill. It's just the chemistry between the four leads, honestly. They got the right people, and you cared about those characters, and it was wacky sci-fi of the week around them, and it worked. And then Atlantis tried to do the same thing, and you only cared about Ronan.
Make sure you retweet
Jason Momoa.
Retweet us.
Oh, don't retweet Jason Momoa
No, don't do
because he's
that.
Ronin.
He's Ronin.
We keep on Ronin.
He's also Aquaman.
on my Atlantis.
Come on, we already did the fuck you DCEU podcast. We don't have to revitalize
I
that.
thought we do that every week.
Well, just to talk about Jason Momoa, who was in Stargate Atlantis, when he was doing press for Aquaman, he talked about how like people would still come up to him and talk about Atlantis, and he's a really nice guy, and like would take the time and be like, "Yeah, Atlantis, woo, yeah." It's just funny.
That was
Wow,
it?
that
That
was
was your
that-
whole...
I thought
wow,
that was-
okay.
yeah. You built that up and you're going
as
somewhere
if
and
he
all
was...
of a sudden,
You
and
built
it was good.
You built it up as if you were going to say, yeah, he's a really nice guy, and he used to like to talk about it, but now
No,
he's
he
so
still talks about
sick and tired of it.
I think he
Yeah.
actually,
Or
I
like
think
it was going
he's-
to go like, and he saved a puppy or something.
the
you
guy
know?
who played
Arjuna, we need to work on your delivery.
the guy who played the O'Neill clone in Atlantis. I can't remember the character's
Joe
name.
Flanagan.
Yeah, I think they're doing something together.
I
Him
met
and
him
Ronan?
actually.
Yeah.
I met Joe
Did
Flanagan.
you say it was awful?
Yeah, I used to work at the Apple store in Santa Monica. I was a little techie guy. Still am. And he came in, and he was basically
Emphasis
the
on level.
quintessential Hollywood, douchebag actor.
Even though he lives in Vancouver.
But he never made it. He was more B, C list, which is fine. No knock at that. But like, you don't have to come in with such a "don't you know who I am" type mentality. Like, I knew who he was because I used to watch, I watched that show, but he acted as if everybody that was around him should know who the hell he was.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
God bless. That's what you get. Anyway, let's get into the podcast here. June's about to hit the record button.
No, I'm good.
yeah, he's good.
Hit the record button.
Oh, do it.
Hit the fucking record button.
Gina, also, I hope you read the intro because you have a piece.
I did not read it, actually.
Okay.
I didn't either. Here we go.
Here we go. Actually, Gina, don't read it. It's going to be better if you don't know what's coming.
I don't remember which one it is.
Here
We're going to find out.
I am not Jarvis. I am not Ultron. I am something else. Of course, I'm loosely quoting Age of Ultron, which is the first time we were introduced to Scarlet Witch and Vision. And folks, they're back. Marvel is back. Disney is back for the first time in a long time. Golly, I haven't seen a Disney show since last year. We are, of course, talking about WandaVision in today's episode of Was It Good? I'm your host, Ravi, and I'm joined by my two brothers, Krishna and Arjuna. Real quick, Arjuna, play a laugh track for our Gen Z listeners who may not be acquainted with what that is.
That is not a laugh track. That worked out so much better than I could have imagined.
I just didn't know which color it was.
Well,
Wait,
keep going. Keep going. Let's find it.
Nope. I think it's the next one. You press the button, Arjuna. Oh, my God.
Actually, a lot of these sounds, though, could be applicable to
Oh,
WandaVision,
big
I feel.
time. Big time.
So there it is.
That's not a laugh. That's an applause.
Yeah.
That's an applause track.
Yeah. Well, either way, we did our best.
We tried. There you go.
Oh, the last
And
very
what
last
color?
one.
And what color is in our soundboard, Arjuna?
Orange.
Okay, everyone remember, orange means audience laugh track. How you can relate the two, no idea. Anyway, we're talking WandaVision, guys. Disney Plus is continuing to become this big powerhouse, continuously becoming this big streaming platform with interesting and unique shows. Obviously, the last time we bothered to tune into Disney Plus for something original was Mandalorian.
Never heard of it.
We've known that the WandaVision show is coming. It's here. We got 2 episodes in beautiful 4:3 black and white on our HD TVs. I'm not annoyed about that.
I will say this: I watched it on a laptop, and that was the appropriate aspect ratio and size to watch these episodes.
That is bullshit. Your laptop is usually a 16:9 screen, unless you've got some kind of gaming laptop you're watching it on.
No, I mean it's close enough.
Were you watching it on your Game Boy Color?
Yes, I wish.
That was probably the right.
That was probably the right pixel density. Real quick, though, guys, one word impression to sum up your watching, viewing, entertainment experience.
Oh, man. I guess I'll go first. I'm going to go. I should have thought about this before. I'm just going to go old school.
That's 2 words.
Oh, you can hyphenate it, and then it becomes one.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that.
I hyphenated it, and I put a K in there.
Old school. Okay, I like
Skull?
that.
School.
SKOOL. School. I went with old school. I think pretty obvious. The show, in my opinion, really captured the old school version of television. The sitcom era.
Sitcom would have been a better one-word impression.
Oh yeah, it would have been. Damn.
Are you going to use that then?
Well, here's
No, I won't actually.
Yeah. But I thought they nailed it. If you take out the actual like Marvel elements, this seems like a great sitcom from the 60s or the 70s or whatever time period.
It seems like a very popular.
It seems like a few
very
popular. Yeah, and I really thought they nailed that formula. Ravi was kind of joking before he watched it. It's like, so is the show made for Kevin Feige then? Like, he made a show for himself? I was like, yeah, probably. But they nailed it. They did great. And we'll get into this later. I'm curious to see how the show was going to resonate with young, like super young viewers who, their television does not revolve around sitcoms. It revolves around streaming.
They don't even know what cable is.
Yeah, right. Cable is a foreign concept. We're going to have that discussion. We'll see where it goes. But yeah, I'm going old school. And that's a good thing.
Do you know what would you say your one-word impression is?
I'm going to go with Paul.
Like Paul Bettany or?
Correct. Paul
Okay.
Bettany. He really got to show his acting chops, I would say, in these first 2 episodes. Really, and I think more than any other actor, it seemed like he enjoyed playing the sitcom tropes a lot, being drunk with the gum and, going to work and all those types of things. He really shined and was, I think, someone that stood out in these first 2 episodes. Something we haven't seen from him really either, obviously, in the MCU.
His acting career recently.
Well, he had a story. He had a story, actually, right before Iron Man. He talked about how his career was basically done. He was in the office, I think, of his agent or some type of producer, and they're like, dude, you just don't have it anymore. Like, you're not going to be cast. There's not many roles for you anymore. Like, you are just in the back 9 of your career. You're going to be like the 4th or 5th built star. No one cares. And it was like on Sunset Boulevard in Hollywood. He went out. He sat on the sidewalk, kind of defeated. He got a phone call from Jon Favreau, who's like, "Hey, you want to be the voice of Jarvis in Iron Man?" He's like, "Okay."
Oh man,
Changed his life.
Real quick to go off of this. According to Wikipedia, Paul Bettany was influenced by Dick Van Dyke and Hugh Laurie for his performance.
Nice.
Not Michael Lehrman in everyone's favorite never released film, Fruit of the Room, as the character known as Cucumber.
What's that released? It's on YouTube somewhere.
It's on YouTube somewhere.
YouTube, yeah.
And for those listening, watching, it's a little short film that we did with one of our active friends, Michael Lehrman. He basically plays a bunch of different fruit and cucumber. In a boardroom meeting. I want to talk about that real quick before I get my one-word impression here. The gum thing.
Yes.
So he has gum in his circuitry.
It comes up the gears.
And he becomes drunk. I didn't look at him being drunk. I looked at it more as a sugar high.
Sure.
I think the idea behind that was in those old sitcoms, right? There was different coding, different keywords to implicate something else. So, for example, back in the old school movies, if you saw two characters lying in a bed next to each other or separate beds like that, and there was a cigarette lit, it means they had just had sex, right?
And then cue the Lonely Island song, I Just Had Sex.
That was not in there, but things weren't as explicit, or there wasn't as much, there was a lot of reading between the lines, especially back then. So I kind of read the gum scene as this is reading between the lines, like he got drunk with his buddies type of thing.
I like to think it was a sugar high because he's never had real food, right? He doesn't eat, which was we were reminded throughout the 2 episodes is I don't eat human food, ha 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 ha, and maybe he's becoming human or something, or taking on characteristics. So he took gum, which is typically high in sugar, and he had a sugar high. That's how I like to look at it.
Yeah.
For my one-word impression, I'm going to cop out here and just say sword.
Loser.
Because I'm going to use that as a transition into a talking point.
Wow.
I know, right? I love that.
That's the reason that
Just
you
skipping my
so
chapter
we're using
listings.
Maybe we'll see. Haven't decided if we'll get to our June's chapter listings or
Wow,
not.
I spent all this time.
My Cash App is $ whatever my name is.
Nice.
No, legitimately, that's my Cash App name, whatever my name is.
Oh, I thought it was Morbid News 1.
Damn it, Christian, you ruined the bit. Anyway, I use the word sword because obviously throughout the 2 episodes we see a lot of obviously symbolism, some kind of cutaways between the typical sitting there and watching them in a sitcom where she kind of where Wanda breaks the fourth wall or something happens, and then usually we see the sword symbol. And when I say sword, I'm referring to an offshoot of S.H.I.E.L.D, which is S.W.O.R.D and S.H.I.E.L.D, which is a protective agency used kind of like, think of it like S.H.I.E.L.D, but extraterrestrial typically.
And they use swords instead of shields.
No, they have a ship that actually kind of resembles a sword. That's partly why it's there.
Also, Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Pokemon Sword and
latest
Shield.
2 Pokemon games
And
with
the Sword and Shield card in the popular trading card game Yu-Gi-Oh!
Link and Zelda uses a Sword and Shield.
There are swords and shield in Game of
Everywhere.
Thrones.
Yeah.
So, speaking of Sword and Shield, we will read through our June's chapter listing.
You're damn right we will.
We'll start with episode 1 here. I'm going to go through pretty quick.
What?
Because I can do that.
We should spend at least an hour on
Here we
this.
go. Episode 1. And real quick, did anyone else find it interesting that the episodes are just called episode 1, episode 2? There's no subtitle in terms of what the episodes are called. It's just simply episode 1, episode 2. Do you think they're playing into the idea that we are watching the MCU, but we are watching a show within the MCU?
Kind of, because especially at the end of episode 1, they pull out and there's somebody watching them like it's a TV show. So potentially.
Deadpool applauded somewhere.
Imagine if Deadpool shows up in this. This is how they introduced Deadpool into the MCU.
It would make perfect. Well, I don't know if it make perfect sense, but yeah, I can see it.
So here we go. Episode 1, Arjuna's DVD chapter listing. Insert laugh track. So press the button, Arjuna. Insert laugh track. Classic sitcom shenanigans. Stark lives as a toaster. Why did you put Stark lives as a toaster for the So Arjuna's referring obviously to like a typical sitcom, something you would watch on television. There are commercials, and in episode 1 there's one commercial, in episode 2 there's another commercial. I'm curious, Arjuna, why you put Stark lives as a toaster.
Oh, just because it was Stark Industries and it was like a toaster oven thing.
So no reference to actual like Tony Stark living, just
Well, maybe. Well, maybe we'll talk about that. Maybe I have a weird, bold, predictional theory.
is it to do with the radio
Maybe.
and the talking and Chris Evans' recent discussions?
No, there's no. I think that's. I mean, I think that's
Totally like blew this out of order.
that's no. I think that's a different character. The radio voice.
Breakfast for dinner. Oh man,
Classic.
I think I'm gonna have like legitimately breakfast for dinner now.
Yeah.
Shout out to Sokovia. Like,
shout out to Sokovia.
Sokovia. Well, Sokovia's also
destroyed, right?
gone.
Correct.
Shout out to Sokovia.
Rest in
we
peace.
Barely knew ya.
Sokovia forever.
Oh no.
Oh no.
A man chokes and no one cares. S.W.O.R.D.
Nice. Gina, that was probably your most concise.
Well, there's 2 episodes.
I know. But for episode 1, that's your most concise DVD listing ever.
Well, it's tough to know.
It's a sitcom.
It's it's a sitcom, and it's tough to know what's important and what's not, right? So I didn't want to waste lots of chapter listings on the
Every single detail.
what seemed like the superfluous plot points of them, figuring out what the time is and like what the heart symbol is and going to work and figuring that stuff out. It just felt like it was, and I think that's part of the creation or the part of what they're trying to create with these first 3 episodes is they're throwing all this information at you, but you really have no idea what's important and what isn't. Now, there are some clues.
Love it.
There are some clues as to what is important, right? Like, we'll get to this, but like the Beekeeper in the second episode, there's some relevance there. There's certain characters that seem to be recurring or having some type of sentient quote, type of moment. So
Right.
there's some type of relevance potential.
Or how the character, or even how the non-Wanda and Vision characters interact with each other.
Correct.
Very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So this is episode 2, Arjuna's chapter listing. Time to renovate. Scary noises. Color exists, and it's a helicopter. Did anyone notice the color scheme of the helicopter?
Very
Red and
Iron Man.
very Iron Man-esque. And then obviously there was the sword symbol again on the toy. And then obviously when Wanda went to go pick up the toy, she looked behind her at a window, which I assumed was a child's bedroom.
No, it was the window that they were looking out of at the beginning of the episode where the noise was.
Yeah, bet
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's also the second. So color actually appears in the first episode in the commercial. I don't know if you guys
The
noticed
red
this
dot.
on the toaster. The red dot, correct.
like a warning symbol.
Or an arc reactor starting up.
Dun 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 dun.
Oh, hi, I'm Monica. Hail Hydra. So you're referring to the commercial, the Striker?
Yeah, the guy from Age of Ultron, who created basically Wanda and her brother.
So when I saw that, I Googled and I wanted it to be Stryker.
From X-Men?
Yes, because then that could have been the
Stryker.
X-Men tie-in, and I was like, whoa, this is great. They did it. So subtle, so beautiful.
That
But
would
then
have been
it's
too much, I feel like. You would have
Yeah.
been really
Like
confusing
episode
people.
2,
Yeah.
we're getting the
He would have
X-Men
been
all of a sudden.
like,
Why?
just the entire X-Men burst through the house. That would be fair. Actually,
Wait a
they
second.
should go back.
I
and
really
do
want
that.
that to happen. The X-Men just bust in one episode.
They just need to confuse people.
Yeah.
That's all they need to do.
And then the next episode, it's like they never were there. They just go back to your regularly
Very
scheduled
sitcom-esque.
sitcom.
Very sitcom-esque.
definitely
I see
do
it.
that.
I should do it.
Gum Drunk,
Gum drunk. I like
Bad Magic, B Movie, Color Exists 2, The Time Rewind, I'm Preggers. I feel this is a little out of order
Yeah.
with the last ones.
I think I'm Prager's comes before Color Exists 2.
Yes.
Yeah, Color Exists 2 is the very last thing. So.
Fine.
And then so I think it should have been, so it would have been Bad Magic, I'm Preggers, B Movie, and then Color Exists
Right.
2.
There we go.
The
I
Time
do
Rewind.
whatever I want because time travel.
You're writing
Tenet?
you're writing a chapter listing, so therefore you kind of have to do it in the chronological order that something is portrayed. Otherwise, what's the point of the
I will say
chapter
this.
listing?
I will say this. If you look at some of the classic early 2000 chapter listings for movies like The Wild Wild West, you actually notice that the chapter listings are out of order because they probably didn't double check it. So I'm just trying to be accurate to DVD chapter listings and put them out of order to confuse the audience. But think it's an Easter egg, but it's not.
And also to cover your tracks.
So you're welcome.
Sure.
I am dedicated to the bit.
I don't know if you are.
So
think you take this
let's
seriously.
break into S.W.O.R.D here a little. So as we know in the first episode, we dolly out from the TV screen and we see a person and it's some tools and things, and we see
and
the
the
sword
symbol,
symbol.
It kind of looks like the rebellion symbol. No?
Yeah.
Anyone?
Yeah.
A little bit.
A little. I
A
saw
little,
it.
yeah.
I saw
So
it.
Star Wars.
And then obviously we see it on the helicopter. We also see it on the Beekeeper's
Hazmat
suit. It's not really it's a Beekeeper suit. You can see it, I believe, on the back of it, and then he turns. It's actually in our thumbnail, but you can't see a face or anything. It's completely kind of blacked out.
I mean, many people have paused the image, brightened it, put color on it.
And what did they get?
Just some random actor.
Yep, there
Like
you
a
go.
random guy.
Be actor.
I actually thought, because we paused it when we watched it, and it looked a lot like Paul Bettany, but I don't think it is actually Paul Bettany. Maybe they used him as the stand-in.
So what do we think the B? I mean, what's clear also is we're hearing what sounds like a radio. We also, in the second episode, see a radio when she's at the Housewives Club at the pool party thing. We see the radio actually kind of explode, and we hear a lot of sounds. Towards both ends of the episodes, I'm pretty sure I hear Randall Park
Correct.
reaching out or saying to Wanda, "Who's doing this to you?" So what do we think? What do we think is going on exactly? Do we think there's a villain? Is she the villain? What is a villain? What is good? What is bad?
I actually have the answer for this.
Oh, let's hear it.
I'll actually break it down for you right now.
This
okay?
is a social clip.
and I want you to zoom in on me when you do this social clip. I don't know.
Well, I thought you said you had the.
That is the answer.
What?
The answer is I don't know. Ravi asked me a question, and I answered as truthfully as I can.
Okay, well, okay. So for those who are unfamiliar, WandaVision is adapting the House of M arc in for the MCU, and the House of M loosely is where Wanda creates an entire universe with her and Vision together. They have babies, they interact, they do a bunch of cool. They live a life basically, but it causes reality to kind of crash in on itself because she's created a whole another universe.
Like dimension?
Yes, correct. And that is how Doctor Strange gets involved, and it becomes a whole thing. And Professor Xavier, I believe in the original one, gets involved. Lots of powerful mutants and telepaths and psychics all get involved because it's all in the mind and mind.
No, it's in a different dimension.
And so I essentially think, especially because when she sees the Beekeeper, Wanda says no. And then time reverses, and it's fine. There's also a couple other moments when other characters seem to threaten the fabric of this reality, and things become more intense. Episode 1, where Mr. Hart starts choking on the food because he's questioning, where did you come from? Why?
So real quick, this is a PSA. When you're meeting people for the first time, it's kind of embarrassing to eat their food and then, interrogate with questions and not chew your food. So if you're going to interrogate someone, make sure you chew your food first.
Swallow it first.
And as he's dying, no one does anything. Mrs. Hart does nothing. Vision does nothing. And Wanda just kind of looks at him with this intense type of look, right?
And then
looks
at who?
breaks.
Vision?
She
or
looks at
Hart?
Mr. Hart. Then she looks at Vision.
And then she tells him to go save
Save
him.
him.
In
And
her
then-
regular voice.
Yep.
And then Vision.
Not the
saves
sitcom
him.
voice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When in episode 2, Wanda is talking to the neighbor, I believe Dottie, about the talent show, and she's like, I don't like you or your husband because you're different.
We know things about you.
We know things about you. There's a it all becomes intense again, very similar. Like the camera angle changes a little bit, it becomes a little bit more intimate. You're breaking that sitcom a little bit. And then the radio starts going crazy, the glass in her hand breaks, and you see the red blood on her hand. So it's another
In color.
In color. And then
That's a Dolby Vision color blood.
that is $225 million blood.
Oh, boy.
And then the third one is the Beekeeper. She sees the Beekeeper. She recognizes it. She says no. Time goes backwards, and nothing happens. I believe Vision, even before that, questions like, this isn't right. That's when he goes out. She reverses it, and then he's fine. And
We get
color
color.
comes in.
Yep.
And things move. I would assume things move into the next decade, right? Because like the first episode was 50s sitcom, the second episode was 60s sitcom, and then I'm assuming each episode.
Yeah,
will be
there's been a couple of promotional like trailers and pieces, and there's a particular promo piece where Wanda is sitting and she's talking directly to camera. Very kind of, what's that ABC family sitcom show that's done in the Office style with the oh my god, I've got it like right on the tip of my
I know what
tongue.
you're talking about with the big family.
Yeah.
Sofia Vergara.
Yes.
Wow,
Modern Family.
Yes, Modern Family.
Good job,
Yes.
good job.
I don't even watch that shit.
It's
I don't
very,
either.
So my theory, because obviously we got a lot of like Bewitched vibes from this one, and Bewitched was actually broadcasted on ABC back in the day.
True.
So my guess is we could probably realistically figure out pretty quickly like which shows from ABC through the decades they may poke at. I'm sure we're gonna see obviously the Modern Family one.
And when they get to the 20s, are they going to do Mandalorian?
That would be amazing. That would be great. I'm fine with that.
God.
Like
That's the surprise actor.
the new storytelling.
Grogu?
Yes, Grogu.
Not Pedro.
That's the baby she's going to give birth to, Grogu.
Oh, that'd be kind of weird.
I don't think I'd be
I don't know if
comfortable
I'd
with
like
that.
that.
at
I think
all.
it would be great.
So, based on what you're saying, Arjun, and what we saw, it kind of sounds like she's created the Pocket Universe herself, because obviously we know she misses Vision.
She calls him Viz.
Yeah, I know.
She misses Viz. Obviously, Thanos kills Vision because he needs the Soul Stone. And at the end of Endgame, there's I completely forgot this, but at the very end of Endgame, she's talking to Hawkeye on the beach, and she says to him, I can still feel Black Widow, and I can still feel Vision in this afterlife, this in-between place, whatever it is. So I'm wondering, my theory is she's created this world. She's populated with, either people that are dead. Maybe some S.W.O.R.D agents have infiltrated it, like Monica Rambeau, who we first are introduced to in Captain Marvel
As a child.
So she's obviously older. So it would make sense that her character, being that her mother was part of the Air Force, so she probably knew about Captain Marvel. She probably grew up and entered S.W.O.R.D. So I'm wondering if this little town is populated both with dead people and with people that are real, are still alive, right? Like S.W.O.R.D agents, so like Monica's character. But like the other housewife that says that I know who you are, I think she's dead. And she's been brought back, and she's being forced to play this horrific thing. And then I also believe Wanda has made herself forget what is happening. And then there's still a piece of her brain, like a subconscious, that when she sees the Beekeeper, she knows to rewind and adjust so that she can live this fantasy out. So potentially, I mean, one of the earlier reviews I saw about WandaVision was there's a lot of like Legion vibes here, where Legion, which was an FX show that follows Charles Xavier's son,
His secret son.
has we're seeing a lot of kind of similarities there, where there's a main character who you can't trust based on what we're seeing, what information they're presenting, and then there's also kind of a split personality type thing happening.
So, no, this is not my theory. I don't know very much about Scarlet Witch and her comic book arc and the character in general. So this is not my theory. It's actually a very popular theory. Agnes, the noisy neighbor, played by Catherine Hahn, is actually Agatha Harkness.
Oh, I saw this.
Which is another psychic person.
Well, she's a sorcerer.
So she's a sorcerer, and she apparently is very important to Scarlet Witch in a comic book arc where she's going through some like mental illness stuff.
She actually, she helps her and acts as kind of like a guide, which you kind of saw.
Trains her.
Yeah, which you saw in the first episode where she saved
Introducing her to this neighborhood.
the neighborhood, and then also being there for her when she needs to cook a meal.
Providing the cat. Her husband also hasn't been
rabbit?
seen. Yeah, the rabbit.
The cat, Jesus, Juno.
Whoa.
The reality is, it's falling apart for you.
Maybe I'm Wanda. Also, in the original comic books, Wanda and her brother Quicksilver are the children of another famous mutant, Magneto.
So you hunt then? Why did you say it so weird?
Magneto.
That was weird.
Well, X-Men now are part of the MCU. I'm just saying they could introduce
Who
even though her parents are dead in the movies.
Yeah, but maybe they were just adopted.
You're right.
Adoption.
That's true.
Yeah. Honestly, it makes too much sense not to introduce some kind of Magneto, or at least some references to it. In fact, that's going to go ahead and be my bold prediction. I know we're jumping ahead a little bit, but my bold prediction, there will be a reference to Magneto, and I think it's going to be in the form of like metal doing weird things.
But not as her father, right? Because her parents die
They're adopted.
Well, Christian,
She was
Christian,
adopted.
Christian
Sokovia.
Yeah.
because
She was
were
adopted.
potentially.
Yeah, Magneto gave him up and sent him to Sokovia. That's an easy rewrite. You can retcon that however you want. It's going to be Magneto's going to be there'll be a reference and something with metal. It's going to be some kind of metal like magnets. Or
How do they work?
Oh, so you're saying a magnet we put onto a fridge? Is that a Magneto
ooh,
reference?
yeah. As soon as I see a magnetic thing on fridge,
He's
I'm
gonna
like,
pause it and be like, "That's it."
yeah.
Did real quick? Did you guys? I know we're jumping all over the place here, but did you all notice, like during the magic show and then during the housewives like sitting down prepping for the show, there was this, we're doing it for the children, but then at the magic show and from what we've seen, there's been no children anywhere.
whatsoever.
Very Grand Theft Auto like.
That's right. There are no children, thank God, in that game.
Actually,
Correct.
I don't. I mean, this is definitely a stretch, but Grand Theft Auto, a little pocket universe that you can wander around in. This little pocket universe.
So
Is
she's
that a
playing a
thing?
video game.
Is that a thing?
It's not
I
a
don't know.
TV show. It's a video game.
Yeah, it kind of is, right? It's like a simulation.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So is it a simulation or is it a pocket universe?
Or is it another dimension? It probably doesn't matter too much unless they decide to go that route where they want to explain the mechanics, because I'm sure the rules of what you can and can't do are different in each one.
Right.
So they probably will then. They'll probably have to explain the limits of her power within this universe. If she's created the whole thing, she's essentially God and can do whatever she wants. If she's being
we've seen.
controlled, which we've seen.
seen.
She has some control. It's just, does she have all the control? And if she's keeping other people out, how much influence do the people who are infiltrating have? How much control do they have? You would think none, but we already see that they do, though, because they can interact with her. They can
Right.
influence.
That actually.
influence
So
her.
speaking of infiltrating, then
It's like Inception.
the Beekeeper is an agent potentially
Potentially.
trying to break in,
That's what I would assume.
because then it would make more sense in a 1950s suburbia. If you're gonna see something kind of weird, probably the weirdest thing you would see at night is a beekeeper coming up from the drain.
From the manhole.
I
I have seen that
yeah.
before. When I was in college and I was walking back to my dorm, there was a student that emerged from a manhole and said, "I'm the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, motherfucker. Do you have any pizza?"
Please tell me this is all.
Was this in the day or at night?
This is at night.
Holy fuck!
It was pretty cool. It was
Wait,
pretty
is this
interesting
real?
story. Yeah, this really happened. I saw a student.
You work
We
late.
know-
Used to work late, and I remember like you would stay up late or stay up for days at
and
a
you
time.
were a giant
so,
cokehead.
Yeah.
What?
I'm kidding.
No, you were a shroom
Just
head.
kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
No.
Jesus.
I was completely sober. I had nothing crazy. I had a regular sleep schedule at that time.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Quick comment here from Lauren WW. What about the rewind moment? Do we think she's trying to create a perfect world for herself?
Yes.
So yeah, what is the rewind moment? Because that's probably key. Shows that she has all the control, at least with time. So yeah.
I think what she's trying to do is Vision right before she rewinds it, he's starting to become aware of it. Something's not right. In fact, he says something's not right.
How do you know something's not right? Well, a character
How
says
do we know he
something's
thinks
not
that?
right.
He says it.
So I think when they see the Beekeeper, that is the red flag moment for her. That, oh wow, we need to
Take a step back.
take a step back
literally.
because he's starting to become aware. Because she is aware of something. She is aware, maybe not fully consciously, but she's aware to know, and she's trying to create this harmony with Vision. Right? It's very much about her creating the perfect life. That's why she's pregnant at the end of the episode. Right? They're having their lives. They get the wedding rings. They have the house. So I think it's her trying to create the perfect life for them. And I think if anyone becomes aware, as we've seen in these first two episodes, it causes some type of disturbance.
Physical
within
harm.
her. I think
Physical
it's-
harm. It happens to these extra characters with the blood on the hand or choking to death on a piece of breakfast.
If we go with the theory that she's creating everything and imagining everything, the disturbance is within her. It's whenever she is disturbed, and then it manifests in the external world, right? That's gonna be. I mean, that's probably the easiest theory. The outer world is just a representation of her inner world. So when she gets disturbed, disturbing things happen. Such as when Vision becomes aware.
I'm gonna jump real quick. I want to throw out my bold prediction as well, because I'm basing mine based on a lot of the comments and media and things that were said.
You should go off your own intelligence.
I'm going to go also what I want to see, which is I believe. So we know that some special character or someone is going to pop up in the show. Paul Bettany, for whatever reason, said that. Arjuna has his own tinfoil hat theory, which is Disney told him to say that in order to kind of build up hype.
Of course they did.
Anyway, regardless, you know, her new love interest is Vision. She fell in love with Vision, Wanda, because of the death of her brother. And she has created this world where people that have passed can come back. I believe that she's going to, at some point, attempt to or bring back her brother Quicksilver.
I hate to break this to you.
Yes.
But it's pretty much already confirmed he's in the show.
Quicksilver?
Yes.
How?
They saw the actor on the set, and there's pictures of him on the set.
Why would you tell me that? Maybe they're friends. They did Godzilla together.
Yeah, and they were husband and wife in that one.
Yep, that's all. But they're playing their actors.
This is
okay?
weird.
Yeah, I mean that wouldn't be a big shock. I feel.
No.
Well, that's going to be my theory, so write it in the outline.
That's such an easy theory.
I know.
Go bold. Be like, Batman shows up.
Wow, that's so
That's
bold.
not bold. That's
unbelievable.
stupid.
Is that your season prediction, or is that your episode 3?
That's my.
You should make it episode 3.
My bold prediction is going to be that Quicksilver shows up. My episode 3 prediction is that we're going to hit multiple decades. So this entire series,
episode 3?
yes, this entire series is 8 episodes, I believe, 9 episodes. So we need to kind of get through the decades and this novelty of being in a decade and something happening pretty quick. Right now we're roughly, 50s, 60s. So I think the next episode is going to be 70s, 80s. Episode 4 is going to be, 90s. And then by episode 5, we'll be kind of done with this, we're jumping through whatever. And then we'll just kind of mismatch all of these different decades. I think it's going to be about 4 clear, distinct decades, 50s, 70s, 80s, or 70s, 80s, then 90s, and then early 2000s.
What do we think the end game is for this show? So,
well, it's a mini-series.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But, so I think back to, there's obviously the natural comparison to The Mandalorian, right? And that was very much a show, we didn't really know what it was about. And all the before it came out, we know there's this Mandalorian character, and that's it. And then, by the end of episode 1, we kind of met the Baby Yoda character, and we kind of realized, okay, this is the show of him and this baby. Do we think this miniseries is just encapsulating the mystery of why they're in this sitcom? Do we think that's the...
Well, I'm going to say something really
show?
mean to all the Marvel fans, and everyone's going to hate me. That's fine. The point of a Marvel movie or show is to get to the next thing. That's the end game. Whatever we're being presented
Avengers Endgame was not about that.
it was basically to reshuffle everything to create something to get to next. And the next thing from Endgame in the WandaVision storyline is this, and then from here is going to get us to the next thing, which is a Doctor Strange thing. So somehow, because we know from all the early publicity and everything, is that Doctor Strange picks up shortly or around the time of this show. It's very kind of connected. So the point of this show, the end game of this show, is to get us to Doctor Strange.
I mean, Doctor Strange is going to show up in this show.
Benedict Cumberbatch was on their freaking live stream presser that they dropped. He was on it, and then who's the other actor?
Oh, I know.
Who?
Edward Norton.
So I think you're
That's the Hulk.
So you're right. You're right that is a
that's
function.
That's a joke.
Yeah, that's fine. That is a function of the Marvel stuff. I actually think though this is going to be a little
Loki. Loki was the other one that popped up on their live stream.
We did know that has been confirmed that they're all connected.
Yeah, it's Marvel. Of course they're going to do that. The actual show though is going to be about Wanda healing. The end game is for her to probably face a version of herself.
Oh, first Thanos.
And then eventually come to terms with what's happened.
So
such an endgame and become whole again.
So here's my
she's splintered. She's fractured.
So here's my question, right? Every Marvel movie has some type of villain battle.
It'll be her.
thing.
It'll be a version of herself.
Oh, so you think there's no actual
either that
bad,
or
bad,
or it'll be Agnes. If Agnes is Agatha Harkness, Agatha is like, you need to heal. Here's how you do it.
Kill
And
me.
our protagonist is going to resist. It's going to set up some kind of fight. Agnes will win, and Scarlet Witch will heal. I think that's going to be the end game.
Question, because Arjun just kind of said something interesting. You know, the thing that really set her off and got her very upset, obviously, was the death of Vision.
Yeah.
Death by Thanos' hand.
Maybe Thanos is the surprise.
That's what I'm wondering. Like,
Ooh, that'd be good. Josh Brolin.
That would be-
But as Josh Brolin, not as Thanos.
that would be
He
way
shows
more
up-
interesting.
He shows up in the sitcom universe
that would be Hulk.
as like
yes.
I don't know, a
The
a
rival-
sheriff. a
No,
sheriff.
no, it's a
He's gonna show up
cook-off.
as a
It's a
sheriff.
cook. It's like a pie contest for the town.
Oh man, that'd be incredible.
I'd
He
watch
still
the
does
hell out
he
of
still
that.
does the Thanos voice.
Yes,
Like
he still acts like
I
Thanos,
am inevitable.
and it's a
And then he's
pie
like,
contest.
yeah.
well, here's something. Josh Brolin's contract, from what I understand, maybe this is false. Is there like rumors I've read on the internet? Take it with a huge pound of salt. But
What are you, barefoot contestant?
just a little pinch. But apparently, his contract went beyond Endgame, like in terms of movie and TV series appearances. Like,
Yep.
there's a good chance he's going to show up in the Eternals somehow because, spoiler alert, he is an Eternal.
What?
Thanos is an Eternal. Can you explain that? If, honestly, for people listening, because I actually don't want to be kind of a dick
means.
when I say that. But what is an Eternal, Arjuna?
So the Eternals are this species within the MCU that, and I don't know a ton about the Eternals, but they are basically a species that have these like they're basically like the original superheroes, I guess is the way to put it. They are these beings with supernatural abilities, and I believe Thanos is like an Eternal who went bad, at least in the comics. So people wonder with the Eternals coming out, if that becomes kind of a thing. Like the Eternals essentially are like godlike beings within.
yeah, they're
They're kinda like the
basically
Goa'uld.
they're. So this is
Yes, no.
it's kind of
Asgard.
weird. So the Eternals, they're a offshoot of humanoids from thousands of years ago. Kind of think of it like Stargate. I'm very into Stargate.
Just said that.
Like they're like the ancient humans, like
They're like the
ancients.
Goa'uld?
They're like no
They're parasites, Krishna. They're fucking snakes, man.
I don't know the show.
snakes in your head. Starring Samuel L. Jackson.
Ooh.
Snakes on the plane.
Samuel Jackson.
He's definitely gonna show up in the show as well. You think
Thanos or Samuel L. Jackson?
so? Samuel L. Jackson. Is Nick Fury?
But he's on a ship.
You guys think they're not on Earth?
How do you know?
It's S.H.I.E.L.D. I mean, excuse me. It's S.W.O.R.D.
So?
S.W.O.R.D. is a extraterrestrial group. Yeah.
But why not?
Well, then actually, they could be on Earth, and
I'm
the
not
thing
saying
that
they are, but
the thing that could have caused one to set off in this way could be some kind of alien thing.
Thanos.
I also
He
think
can't
was
be back.
extraterrestrial
Yeah, but he can't be
who
back.
killed Vision.
Right.
So therefore, S.W.O.R.D. is overstepping.
You
that
like
boundary.
you?
Hang on.
Hold on, no. You sound like the CIA and the FBI when they're like, "Well, this happened this way, but because
Hello?
the person was born here,
Hello?
and then the thing."
That makes it believable. S.W.O.R.D. is like, you know what, S.H.I.E.L.D., you fucked too much shit up. We're stepping in. This is extraterrestrial. She could be an alien for all we know. Her pain was caused by an alien. We're stepping in. S.H.I.E.L.D. sucks.
So because her
Team
pain
S.W.O.R.D.
was caused by an alien, that's how
yeah.
they get jurisdiction.
That's how they get jurisdiction
Got
of
it.
this,
Okay.
this
and also the
situation.
the Spider-Man after credit scene obviously sets up Nick Fury being on a ship, with the Skrulls, which heavily implies that he's already started potentially S.W.O.R.D. within the MCU.
Oh, yeah,
so
that's true.
that's why if S.W.O.R.D. is in this, it makes sense to have Nick Fury. Also, this is kind of, we've talked about this before. WandaVision is now kind of like Iron Man 1, right? This is basically the first thing that resets the MCU after Endgame. I know you had Far From Home, but that was like an epilogue essentially to Endgame, especially because of the time gap we've had between new MCU content and this kind of, whether it was intentional or not, it doesn't seem like it was intentionally supposed to be the first thing in the, the next phase of the MCU, but it's setting off the whole multiverse arc that seems to be the arc of at least Phase 4 and the next thing of MCU. It just makes sense to have that guy. Like, he's the guy that always shows up at the end. It's like, I have the Avengers initiative. And so he's going to be like, I have the S.W.O.R.D. initiative.
Yeah.
Would you like a sword?
Fun fact: this wouldn't be Nick Fury's first cameo on a Marvel television show. Obviously, the first one would be Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
He was in that.
He was in the very first episode. It was like the big shocking thing. God, that feels like a lifetime ago that show came out.
It came out
10 years
in
ago.
like 2013. That
10
was
years
8
ago.
years ago.
Holy
10
shit.
years ago.
No, 8.
We have a great comment from Lauren WW. You can hear the FBI guy on the radio, so it's on Earth.
Not necessarily. Maybe they're on the spaceship as well. Because
But-
the agent is probably Randall Park's character Jimmy Woo.
It's definitely him. I used who is that actor app.
Is there an app
That's
for that?
funny.
No, there are apps to identify a movie.
Yeah.
So like you can listen to a sound clip of a movie and it'll tell you like, oh, this is so and so movie,
cool.
and it will list out like actors. and
Shazam
stuff.
for movies.
Yeah, basically, yeah. But there's nothing very specific to like that sound clip is definitely Randall Park.
Oh.
I mean, it likely is. We know Randall Park is appearing as Jimmy Woo.
He was on the Wikipedia cast list.
Yes, and there's probably a good chance he's associated with S.W.O.R.D at this point. He's been, he's one of the government agents that have appeared in the MCU.
Love him.
That is now they're just gonna round up and put into this one S.W.O.R.D organization.
I had read somewhere, speaking of like the radio transmissions, Arjuna, I don't know if you had another suggestion who you could have heard on the radio. Do you think? I've been hearing people on Twitter specifically are saying, oh, they believe they heard Chris Evans in there.
No.
I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it myself, but I wasn't paying too much attention to who it could be either. I was just like, it just sounded like distorted voice on the radio.
Oh, I thought you were saying you didn't hear the radio voice. I'm like, did you watch the show?
No, actually, I didn't. I'm actually improvising this whole thing.
Wow, that's impressive.
Wow, it's like me with Mad Max.
Get out.
Yeah, leave.
Question on the radio too, and the music pieces. Did anyone pick up? I believe in episode 2, when she's talking to the housewife and the radio's about to explode. The music is not all from that time period.
Correct.
There's some 70s and there were some 80s jingles and jams in there, which I thought was also interesting.
That's just her losing the grip on reality, or at least the reality she's created at that
Part
point.
of losing the control, yeah.
Yeah.
You would think, right?
No, my
things
whole
become
point to it is
inconsistent.
it's a nice way to kind of once again show how she's losing control, and that we're jumping through the decades.
Yeah.
Anyone disappointed there's no after credit scenes? For
No,
the
super
actual
happy.
each episode?
Super happy.
Yeah, I kind of like the fact that there's no
Yes.
there's no next time, there's no none of that. Like
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
No,
I
it
think
doesn't
that's
mean
better.
next time. Just an after credit
Yeah,
scene.
no.
It's very part of the
Leave
MCU.
Leave it for the last episode.
But they should
That's
not be
when I want
related. They should not be related. They should be like just random.
it should
You
be
know-
like Troy and Abed. in
You
the
know
morning.
who trolled really well with like after credit scenes?
Deadpool.
No, in terms of series, the not Earth's Mightiest Heroes, the DC, the Young Titans show. They would have after credit type scenes where it was just a character just kind of sitting or doing something mundane,
yeah.
like making dinner. And they would have the credits rolling, and it would go on for like 2, 3, 4 minutes or whatever. And I think only once there was like a piece of information in there, but all other times it was just literally just something soothing and interesting to just kind of watch as you look at the credits. That was a nice way to like troll people.
Yeah. Well, I am absolutely okay with no after credit things. I just hate having to, either fast forward through the credits or wait for the credits to end to see
I
something.
will say.
Last episode, though.
We have a
Obviously.
comment here that talks about there being 10 minutes of credits, and the credits are very long for the Disney Plus shows. I've noticed, and because when the first episode ended, it was 30 minutes. It was listed as 30 minutes, but the episode ended at like 23 minutes. Very much in the sitcom, it's like 21, 22, 23 minutes. But then when I saw 7 minutes left, I'm like, oh, there must be an after credit scene.
Yeah,
So
no.
I like scrubbed through, and it's just I think because they put like all of the international credits and all the dubbings and stuff.
Well, it's also the
Super
crew.
long.
The crew is large on this. I mean, you listen.
$225 million. It better
Yeah,
be.
there's a lot of creative people, artists, and everything working on this, so it makes sense. And I think you could say, I think Kevin Feige kind of said it at one point, like this is a TV movie, but
Yeah.
like on steroids, like crazy. Like each episode, the whole thing has been treated like a movie.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people working on this, and they deserve that credit. So I think that's okay to have
Yeah.
listed out.
Well, you need it. People got to get that credit.
Exactly.
I don't know if that's a rule, actually. Is there a law saying people got to... There isn't, is there? Like
I honestly
get
don't
credit-
know if there's
like
a
accreditation.
legal ruling or what. I
That
mean,
probably is.
I would assume FCC probably has something where you're supposed to list out certain pieces like contact information or where things are shot, and to kind of also like legally say like, yes, we were allowed to shoot in Atlanta, Georgia, et cetera, like those types of things. And then I'm also I believe from like a credit standpoint, like based on like the type of cameras or post-production facilities that are used, or processes, those companies will have rules like, hey, you have to list us and give us credit,
Right. So. But yeah, maybe it's we got a comment here. It's long because it's international distribution, so it has all the credits for localization, which makes total sense.
Before we get into some last of our bold predictions, a couple of questions that I was thinking during this, and these aren't questions necessarily about the show in terms of the MCU, but more kind of like how this show is, in a way, a new piece of content, right? In the sense that MCU has primarily been these big blockbuster, these big action-packed movies. I think between the longest time period to pass has been more recently, but in terms of when the movies were really going, it was typically like 6-8 months or less, and then you'd have these big blockbusters, et cetera, et cetera. Where now, obviously, the MCU is doing Disney Plus. We knew that this was coming. There's a whole bunch of shows coming. I guess the big question right now, and it's hard to tell, obviously, because it's just 2 episodes, but do you think this works, I would say, for the casual MCU fan? Does it work for the hardcore fan? Does this work for like somebody that's like, hey, I'm stuck at home in COVID, I need something to do? Where do you guys think this plays in MCU and new types of content?
I guess it depends on how you identify a casual MCU fan. Because
Mom and dad.
I would say, well, that's different, though, because mom and dad are people who grew up with sitcoms from the 60s and 70s. So I feel like they're going to like it for a different reason. Like, specifically, I know mom loves, like, Bewitched and stuff. So I think she's going to like that style of, like, hey, this is honoring that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Versus, do I think mom and dad would understand anything we just discussed with S.W.O.R.D and the Beekeeper and Monica Rambeau?
Hell no.
No. So it works for them, but then if you have the more casual MCU fan that's younger, that doesn't give 2 shits about the sitcom stuff, and just wants kind of the next MCU chapter, I think this is very much slow in terms of, is it going to capture their imagination immediately? I don't know. It's hard to say because obviously we're not in those shoes. But I would imagine they watch these first 2 episodes and they're like, okay, like, what's happening?
I've been looking at kind of like what happened with the prequels, and specifically around the prequels subreddit on Reddit. So the prequel Star Wars trilogy came out, early 2000, when a lot of the Gen Z generation were very, very young or not even around. And then what they did was they kind of took those movies and they memified the hell out of it, and that's how they kind of consumed that content. I wonder if Marvel's done a really good job kind of saying, hey, this is the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They've already done that with all the movies.
Yeah.
I would imagine that they're going to look at this, figure out how to memify it, but then on a different level where like the show has a lot of heavy references to I Love Lucy and Bewitched, I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing some of these older shows like Bewitched memified and kind of connected to what we're seeing with WandaVision.
Also, here's the other thing about the MCU. What is it at its core? We've talked about this before. They are the modern-day action blockbuster.
The movies are.
Right.
Certainly.
But these first 2 episodes, but this is still an extension of the movies, right?
Yeah, but I think it's pretty clear that they're pivoting, and that's more than okay. And we may still get our blockbuster action scene anyway.
I don't disagree, but what I'm saying is, for the casual fan,
Yeah.
they don't necessarily care about, like, is this, a new thing or pivoting. If you're looking at the content that you've had before and this is a new content, you might lose some of those casual fans because the simple question will be, where is the action? Where is the...
Well, that's the beauty, though, of Disney Plus is it's not that this is replacing the movies.
Yeah.
Granted, we are in a very tough situation right now where going to a movie theater is a bad idea. But in a normal world, and when things hopefully kind of get back to normal, you're going to have both. You're going to have the option of the Disney Plus, and you're still going to have those big MCU action films, which is great.
But the problem is you don't right now. That is the issue.
Right, but you can't also not have content because of everything.
I agree, but I just wonder, you know, I'm sure if there's a $225 million budget, of course they're going to have big action sequences.
Yeah, that better be.
It's also
where else is the money going?
It's also right. It's also comic book. It's also superhero comics. Like, of course, there's going to be some type of action sequences. I'm just saying, especially in the week-to-week model, especially with these first 2 episodes, I just wonder how much patience and how much time those casual fans are going to be like until we're just like, all right, nothing's really happening. I'm just going to check out and maybe binge it later, or I don't really pay attention to this.
Which is totally fine though. Disney doesn't lose money whether we watch it now or they binge it at the end.
Right.
I think the format is in fact, the TV, the episodic format for that we're seeing works better for a comic book story than a movie does anyway. The comic books are naturally laid out in arcs and series. So I think this format is obviously here to stay because it clearly works. Arjun's absolutely right? People definitely tune in for the Marvel, at least so far, to see the one-liners, the humor, which, by the way, the show has tons of, even if it is a little dated, which is the point. Yeah. But also the big action, the CGI, that good stuff, and we're definitely gonna get it. So I personally, it's here to stay. I think it definitely works. Also, the nice thing about TV shows is that they better be different, right? If this one is a little bit lighter on the big blockbuster action scenes, I think that's okay because we're gonna get plenty of that, and we know the shows that are coming anyway. Captain Falcon, Winter Soldier.
Captain Falcon?
Captain Falcon and Winter Guardian.
It's Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
He knows. He's messing.
Yeah, the Asgardians of Stargate 2. No, so I'm glad that we're seeing this because the one thing that Marvel was suffering from before COVID was that the movies were sort of before Endgame, we're sort of kind of blending together. We're getting a lot of the same storylines. We're getting a lot of not very memorable stuff. Sure. This is already memorable because it's the most different thing we've seen in Marvel. Because it's black and white and it's 4:3. It's great. It's wonderful. It's just change it up a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't spend X amount of money on a screen that's 16:9 ratio to watch a 4:3.
Thank God you didn't buy that 100-inch TV for this.
He did.
I did.
Well, you didn't though.
You should never ever buy a 100-inch TV
unless it's for the Super Bowl.
A 4:3. And I would never buy a TV for the Super Bowl because.
But you've done it before.
No, not for the Super Bowl.
Well, not for the Super Bowl. You buy around Super Bowl.
Yeah, because you get your best deals on TVs around
it's
Super
for
Bowl.
the Super Bowl.
It's not for the Super Bowl.
Whether you know it or not.
Football is the best TV sport to consume, or the best sport to consume on TV.
Oh,
Christian, what is your episode 3 bold prediction?
Episode 3 prediction. I think it's going to take place in the 70s, and I think we're going to get a bit more like real life issues. So obviously there's 2 layers to the show, right? There's the sitcom level, and then there's the what's actually happening level with Wanda, right? Like in terms of her mental stability and whatnot. I think at the sitcom level, for the next episode, it's because the stakes are going to elevate, as in we're going to get maybe there'll be like a little kid, maybe there's a little pregnancy scare. Like the stakes on the sitcom level will be raised because the 70s, I think, was a time when they started to take more risks with their sitcom. So them going through, even at the basic sitcom level, we're going to get nice rising action. So forget about what's going to happen with Wanda and how she's going to lose control and the state of her mental wellness. Forget about that. The sitcom level is going to be more intense and will probably play into her losing control.
Yeah.
As the stakes are elevated, as they hopefully naturally occur in this show.
What was that?
I don't know. My brain melted.
So do you think, real quick, I just actually I Googled best 1970s ABC show specifically, just so we can have an idea of what's coming. Happy Days, Three's Company, MASH, The Brady Bunch.
Oh, interesting.
I bet they go Brady.
I think they're going to go Brady Bunch. Mork and Mindy.
Oh yeah, Mork and it's Robin Williams. Mork
and Mindy might make more sense
Mork is
because
an alien.
He's an alien.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That would be interesting.
Maybe it's a combination. Maybe we'll get a bunch.
I mean, they have been. There's definitely combos. Like they're
Yeah.
not just doing one show.
Family Feud was a big one.
Oh,
Obviously, the game show.
Ooh, game show.
Do-do,
Game show format.
The $6 million man.
Oh, good.
Vision.
Another
Vision
good
is
one. Good one.
basically that. Starsky and Hutch.
Oh god, that would be.
Oh, if we could get a buddy cop episode.
Here's a couple interesting ones. Battlestar Galactica. I mean, that's just cool for us. Bionic Woman.
But I mean, I think they're sticking to sitcoms though.
No, for
That's the
sure,
thing.
But I'm wondering if
Well,
we'll
are
see
they?
other
Do we know?
elements
Yeah.
there. I mean, we saw sitcom in some of the promo stuff, and we've seen sitcom obviously in the first 2 episodes. But I don't think there's anything that has said WandaVision takes place throughout the decades of sitcoms.
No, we're
But
just
maybe it does.
assuming.
Yeah.
Maybe it does. Though.
I think if
Wonder Woman, by the way, is another one that came out in the 70s. That would be fascinating if they
WandaVision,
something.
Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman came out last month. This month.
they just show clips from Wonder Woman 1984.
But ABC destroyed it back then.
Interesting.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
it was.
that's fascinating.
stuff.
Pre-Disney.
Yeah, that was all pre-Disney.
Yeah.
And that's how the DCEU was saved.
And that's how Batman can appear. Maybe. I don't know.
Batman.
Arjuna, your bold predictions, episode 3, and then overall season 1.
My bold prediction for episode 3 is that no one will get their bold prediction right. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow.
No, I would say my bold prediction for episode 3, because it'll be the 1/3 way mark in the story. I think we'll get our first big turning point. You know, the first big change in the story that's been presented itself. So I'm going to say we get a big battle
Ooh.
that answers some questions and leaves a ton more questions as well.
All right. I like that big battle.
Episode
So
3,
big battle is what we're going to say.
big,
that.
big ass battle.
Big ass battle.
Big ass, and then your season-long prediction?
I would say my season 1 prediction is that there is no secret actor and it was all bullshit. Or it's like very obvious. You know what I mean? Like
So then not really. So then
Tom
then
Hiddleston.
the phrase secret actor or guest actor, that then it's all through perception, really.
correct.
So then your prediction's already correct, essentially.
no, because if Robert Downey Jr. shows up as Tony Stark, that qualifies for Paul Bettany's statement.
Right,
no
but
one
you could
knew.
argue, though, that that's not really
Yeah, it
a
is.
secret
It is.
because
would
he's
be
part of the MCU. I don't know.
No, you'd just be wrong at that point.
Why?
Yeah,
Because it's Robert Downey Jr. He's dead. Like there's been nothing connected to this one.
If we think about it, though, if it's her world, she can create anything. It
Correct.
wouldn't be the most shocking.
So, and the direct quote is surprise actor. So I would
that's
certainly
fair.
say that is a surprise actor to show up in this show.
Okay, but then if, let's say, Hawkeye showed up, I could say that's a surprise, and you could say it's not a surprise because...
Yeah, I'm sure there's middling people like that, but is Hawkeye really a popular character? You know,
I
don't think so.
I don't.
doubt it.
don't tell Sean Sullivan that. It's his favorite Marvel character.
Oh God. Does he know all about all the Jeremy Renner stuff?
I don't know.
We are not commenting on any of that right now because we do not know full story, so we're staying clear.
I know the full story.
Anyway, I think it's time to ask that question here.
Wow.
Yeah, I think we beat the hell out
We
of
don't
this
want to
one.
talk about Monica Rambeau at all. No.
I want to save that a little bit just because we have talked about who she is. She is, the daughter of Captain Marvel's
Maria Rambeau.
Maria Rambeau. I think there's going to be more to her story, so I think we can really dive into it later. We saw her show up in a magic box, which was funny. Unless you have more. I mean, that's all
Maybe
I've got.
Captain Marvel's a surprise actor that shows up.
Brie Larson.
So what's she going to do, shoot everybody?
Wow.
Yes.
And that's how Arjuna got his big-ass battle.
Well, let's be honest though. Captain Marvel is obviously a part of S.W.O.R.D. Obviously.
She is actually. How'd you know that?
Based on everything that we've seen in Endgame and then Far From Home with Captain Fury and
Fury.
Captain Nick Fury. I don't know his name. I don't know anyone's name, so I'm just mixing it all up. Fury and Danvers, that connection from, her movie. Of
Sure.
course she would be.
Well,
part of
this
S.W.O.R.D.
show is also
Duh.
it's pulling characters from a lot of different MCU things, right?
It is.
We have Jimmy Woo from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We have Monica Rambeau from Captain Marvel. Kat
Jimmy
Denning-
Woo was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
I'm sorry, from Ant-Man.
Gotcha.
And we have Monica Rambeau. I said Monica Rambeau from Captain Marvel. We have Kat Dennings' character Darcy from Thor that's going to appear in this show. So you're pulling from all these different corners of the MCU into this show, and then like we also know that Wanda's connected to Doctor Strange. We know there's a potential Loki connection. So this is very much
a connected universe.
And
Wait, I'm shocked.
But I feel like it also works as a show that's trying to set up, like I said, kind of what the next thing that we're building towards in the MCU, right? What's the next reason for the Avengers to assemble?
Or what it is Disney realized, hey, we signed these people up for a lot of like cameos and showing up.
Let's wrap this up. Let's
But that's
wrap
not
up
true.
for these contracts.
That's not
Yeah,
true.
exactly.
That's not true though. Kat Dennings' contract expired years ago after the second Thor movie.
When we real quick, I guess we're gonna keep this going a little bit longer, but I'm gonna throw my rant in real quick.
Oh, you have a rant.
I do actually. It came through this podcast. The conversation around these actors and their contracts, like a lot of people do it. We do it. Like, I don't think these contracts and these news pieces of information mean diddly when it comes to these shows, because here's the thing. At the end of the day, the actors, the studios, they can go and change them radically. It doesn't necessarily have to be public. It's typically leaked information. I don't think we can use that as viable information in terms of like.
But it's fun.
I know it's fun.
That's
It's
also-
great.
that's
It's
also
super
wrong
fun.
too, because like
It's always wrong.
no, you're wrong. Your statement is wrong because the contracts, like specifically actor contracts of the MCU, very much go hand in hand. That the whole contract reason is why Robert Downey Jr. didn't make another Iron Man. The whole contract reason is why their contracts
up until
ended
this
after
date, though.
Endgame.
Up until this date,
Sure.
he could easily tomorrow say, "Hey, I want to come back," and
So
then
one movie deal.
and then this
Sure,
thing.
but
yeah.
that's still reported, and that still influences and informs how it's going to go in the future. The whole Spider-Man thing, like he didn't have a contract for a few months. That's a fact. There was a time in the MCU where Spider-Man had no future in the MCU. So that is relevant information to talk about. And it does inform how the thinking and everything is going on in terms of the movies. You have to bring in the contract talk because whoever's available and playing those characters influences how the story is going to be told. The MCU and Marvel has really popularized movies and contract talk to almost a sports-like level because it influences.
Well, that's the whole
what the
reason
product
Hollywood
is.
Reporter and Deadline are still around.
Correct,
Yes.
and it's going to be their number one clickbait headlines forever.
They're the
Same thing
ESPN
with ESPN and Yahoo Sports and all these other ones. Like, it's always going to be the contract details.
What I'm saying though with the contracts here in this particular case is they just held all these characters and they need to put them somewhere, and this was a great place to put them.
Start using out some of them.
Start rolling through
get
all
some
these
of those,
characters and
But
these
that's
people.
but that's not true either. The only character that was signed on before was Randall Park's character. Kat Dennings' contract had expired years ago, so they signed her to a new contract for this. They cast the new actress who played Monica Rambeau. They cast Catherine Hahn for this
Arjuna is going to start a podcast
Yeah.
strictly around
contracts.
contracts, and it's going to be called
Yeah.
The Contract.
Yeah, Arjuna, you said that the contracts are important.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
and
am
now the
saying that.
contract. Yeah,
But
so,
there's only one actor who's had an existing contract before this. So I'm saying that it's not like they just decided to put these characters in because they had pre-existing contracts either. They signed them to new contracts.
yeah, Arjuna, that's mostly a joke.
I think
I don't know if you caught it. I don't know if you caught
I
that.
think you
Yeah.
took the rant and the joke and you took it way too serious.
Or maybe that was your rant. I think the real rant was Arjuna's counter rant to your rant. That is the rant. We found the rant. We
Oh,
found
boy.
the rant inside the podcast.
Oh my God.
Scepter rant.
Anywho, Krishna,
Yes.
was the first 2 episodes of WandaVision good?
They were great. I enjoyed them thoroughly. I really did, actually, like I said at the top, I really dug the sitcom format. And if it was just the sitcom back and then, or even today, I think it would do really well. Just, as a sitcom. And if you took out, like, obviously all the weird
Very
stuff.
expensive sitcom.
Very expensive.
The most expensive 4x3 black and white sitcom to date.
Of all time. Do you think all the money went to the color correcting, parts of
I
it?
don't think that. If I had to guess, I bet that the majority, like if these 2 episodes weren't like
Expensive?
an equal share of the $225 million for the 9 episodes.
I certainly hope not.
Yeah, because then
Otherwise they got
that's
robbed.
Confusing.
The episodes were shot in front of a live studio audience.
Oh, the
They
sitcom
were.
one.
So most of them were shot in front of a live studio audience. They did it typical to how a sitcom was shot, and then these first 2 episodes they actually used old school cameras from the 50s and the 60s that were used for broadcast back then. Obviously, they were spruced up a little bit, but they did it as close to the book as possible.
Is that just to create, an environment for the actors?
Not just the actors, but also the look as well, just so you got that more authentic look as opposed to shooting it on like a 4K camera and then just putting a black and white filter
and then
on
just
it.
downgrading it from there.
I actually have a quick question before I ask Juna the question. Would you say that this is the best acting we've seen in the MCU? Because, and here's the reason I ask that is because the MCU is
Not known for its acting.
but also part of the reason, obviously, movie format, you're condensed amount of time, and they're always trying to fill those movies with as much stuff as possible. So no one's really allowed to give it enough time on screen to show their acting chops. This is totally different. We're getting a lot of Olsen and Bettany, and they're allowed to shine. They're really allowed to shine, and we're getting more from these characters than we've gotten from any other character from Marvel. In this amount of time, could we say this is the best acting we've seen in the MCU? I'd say yes.
I would say it's up there for sure. I think there's been
Thanos was better.
no, but I mean, Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger in Black Panther was really good.
Sure.
Loki in some of the Thor movies was pretty good. But yeah, I mean, I guess it is up there because there's certainly
I just want to remind you, your one-word impression was Paul.
Yeah, right. Well, I was about to say that because it's an interesting layer because they're acting as their characters, acting in a sitcom in the fictional world of their characters, which is also a fictional world.
Yes,
that doesn't exist.
So therefore, it's the best acting.
I wouldn't say it's the best acting. I think your perception or your view of it's going to be a little bit different because you are going to see more screen time, like you said. Thanos works so well and is the piece that sticks out the most from Endgame and Infinity War because
he gets
the most screen time on there. Still believe that they should have done a separate movie, but that's not here or there or whatever.
What, for Thanos?
Yeah, I would have loved just a Thanos movie.
It's never too late.
It is. He's dead.
There's always prequels.
They deleted the files that they used to create the CGI character, and they are lost to time.
Would you watch a Teenage Thanos? And it's called Teenage Thanos?
Yes, it's going to be on the new Disney XD.
Wait, starring Timothy Chalamet.
Shut the fuck up.
Wait, didn't Josh Brolin and Timothy Chalamet do a movie together?
Probably.
Seems.
See, I believe it. Science 2. No.
Science 2.
Arjuna, was WandaVision, the first 2 episodes, good?
Yes, it was good, but I do want to see more from the show.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I have to interrupt. Yes, you're right.
I knew it.
Josh Brolin and Timothy Chalamet are going to be... Shyamalan are going to be in a movie. It's called...
Right. Dune.
Fuck
yeah.
Josh Brolin's in Dune?
Brolins in Dune, along with Oscar Isaacs, along with Jason Momoa.
Is Pedro Pascal in it?
Sure.
No, but apparently...
He plays the Worm.
Apparently, Pedro Pascal and Oscar Isaac spent New Year's together.
Wait, who did?
Oscar Isaac.
Yeah, they're really good friends, right?
I love that. Is Josh Brolin?
That's hilarious. An upcoming movie.
Hey, Pedro Pascal and Oscar Isaac can appear in a Star Wars thing together.
They can or they have?
I'm saying they can because they're both in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Because there's Din and there's Poe. I guess Din would be really old by the time Poe is Oscar Isaac age.
Potentially.
Yeah, probably.
Old man Mando.
Anyway, so you said yes?
Yeah, I said yes, but I do want to see more from the show. This is a show that I bet would be better if you binged it. That's the impression I get. So I'm curious to see how it goes week to week. I was happy they gave us 2 episodes because I think if I just saw the first episode, I would have been like, I want more. Especially because it's only 23 minutes.
Agreed.
So I do think they made a very smart choice doing 2 episodes. But yeah, I do want to see more from the show as it keeps going. Ravi, was WandaVision episodes 1 and 2 bad?
Yes.
They were bad?
Yes.
Oh, so
you didn't like it?
So you're
no.
Oh, interesting.
And the reason I'm saying that is acting wise, it was great. It's interesting. Cool. The problem with this show is it does not work for my patience level. I do not have the patience to wait week to week for 21 minutes of content.
23.
Whatever.
The 2 minutes, man. They make all the difference.
The second episode was 30 minutes of content.
Great. My concern with this is we waited. We got 2 episodes. I was able to watch them back to back. That was great. That kind of made about an hour's worth of content. Next week, it could be 20.
We're asking if the first 2 episodes were good, not if you think the rest of the season.
No. I know.
Okay.
But that's the thing is to me, it only presented a small portion of what's happening. It's interesting, it's wacky, it's weird, it's cool, whatever. But at the same time, it just left me desiring so much more.
And there wasn't
Wouldn't
enough
that make
of
it good?
tease
No,
for you?
because it wasn't enough of a tease for me. Because once again, it hits upon that patience level where I need more content. I wasn't
more
given
stimulation.
Exactly. There were definitely points in it where I got a little kind of like, yes, I get it's a sitcom. Ha 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 ha.
You
ha.
got bored.
I got bored. It's like, move on, do something cool, show something weird.
I had a feeling this would happen.
So Ravi is our residential millennial.
Gen
here on this.
Zer.
No, more millennial.
No, you're a millennial. But
Gen
you're,
Zers are way
Excuse me,
less.
young man. You are talking like a Gen Zer. You need your streaming and you need your
Excuse me,
explosions.
balls fuck you.
Excuse me, boomer.
Okay, boomer. See, that was your comeback.
but here's the thing. So I feel like Ravi is probably more alike to our casual MCU fan, and that's what I wonder with the show, especially as we go week to week.
Yeah.
Like, how much are they going to push the story forward, and what's the retention going to be at? Because I have a feeling like if we come to episode 3 and it's just more of the same and there is no big ass battle, I have a feeling a lot of people are just going to be like, you know what? I don't need this. I don't need to like watch it week to week, and I can just wait for this later and just read the articles and watch the YouTube end credit scenes that connect it, and I don't need it. And I think in an ideal world, yes, you have your multiple points of consumption and like you can have your TV shows and your movies, but this is the only MCU thing. And if it's not successful, you don't get more of this.
I don't know if that's how that works.
Eventually.
I mean,
This
yeah.
is just a mini series, right?
Yes, a mini. It's Slade is a mini series. It's not going to be a never-ending.
Yeah, it's
season.
not like you're gonna get 10
No,
seasons.
I mean like Disney Plus
did.
Marvel shows though, right? Like if WandaVision isn't successful and some of the other ones aren't as successful, they're not going to keep making them. They're going to just pivot back to movies or change it up. So there is, a lot. Obviously, the MCU and Marvel is successful, but you still need it to be successful to continue it on. I mean, look at Star Wars and Solo, right? Like it wasn't successful financially, and that was basically the death of the Solo spin-off, Star Wars
trilogy.
Yeah, but it wasn't the end of Star Wars.
Correct. No, and this is going to kill the MCU, but it could kill the type of this type of content, like this
TV.
Like the Disney Plus streaming.
I don't
shows
think it.
that are
I
smaller
don't
content.
think it will kill it because speaking to Arjuna's point about contracts and how it's important to the conversation, the amount of money Disney has invested in Disney Plus, they've put enough energy and effort into it that they will not let it fail. So it may be we take a pause if it all kind of sucks, and then they will revisit and figure out a different way to kind of go through this process.
Again, though, because it's streaming, how do you even determine whether it's successful? It's like how many eyes it gets on it?
I mean, Disney and all these streaming platforms, they know when their users are logged in. They know how long they're on each thing. Obviously, that information is not public, doesn't need to be public.
Yeah.
Maybe for the, investors, that should be public. That would be kind of cool. I mean, maybe it is, and I just missed it. But they have that information, and that's what they're using to determine, hey,
if this is successful or not.
Well,
Right.
it's also more than that, right? Disney looks at it from a holistic view. Like The Mandalorian, a big part of his success is the toys and the discourse and the discussion around it. If no one's talking about WandaVision and it's not
If it dies
creating conversation, then it's like, okay, we're not going to really
invest.
go ahead with this.
Sure.
I was actually fascinated. Like, I always judge a new show based on 24 hours after it is released and where is it in Twitter.
Yeah.
They obviously put promoted behind the hashtag WandaVision, so that obviously skews information and naturally the WandaVision hashtag will not end up in like a top 20 trending because of it. Tomorrow is going to be the more interesting, and this weekend will be interesting to see where does the WandaVision hashtag end up. Does it even pop back up? You know, based on everything that's happening, we are going into a big political shift. We have the NBA up in fire in terms of all of their games being canceled. We have the NFL playoffs happening. This may just be this first week may just kind of be a wash.
Yeah.
And you know, Mandalorian, what the first episode of season 1 wasn't a wash because of the child that kind of just broke people's hearts and everyone loved it. I believe the first episode of season 2 wasn't. No, it was second week. The first week was trending, but the second it wasn't trending into the weekend. So I'd be curious to see like what people's kind of reaction on the social side is and if anyone's actually talking.
Yeah, I mean there really wasn't there wasn't a big reveal in these first 2 episodes. I mean in terms of like the
Beekeeper.
But that's kind of the biggest thing, like who is the Beekeeper? But do people really care enough to necessarily have a full-on social discussion and continue to talk about it through the weekend and next week?
Well, we already know this week that's not going to happen. It's just too much going on. But you're right, though. If by episode 4 and 5, we're not getting that conversation, then maybe that's an issue. I don't know. I don't know if it is an issue. I think maybe how these shows or how these companies should look at it is like, obviously your opening weekend and then maybe your last weekend, what's happening there. Because like you already said as well, a lot of people probably might choose just wait and binge all of this at the end, which is a totally legit way to do it. I mean, that's not a bad way at all.
I'd be curious. I mean, I say this every time with Marvel things like, oh, I'm going to go back and watch it, and then I'll end up watching a movie maybe once or twice and then never again.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure I'm probably just going to be watch this the once through, mostly for the pod, and then probably be like, okay, that was cool. Bye-bye. Yeah.
Also, Wanda and like Vision aren't the most popular MCU characters.
God, no.
And they weren't. This was, originally when they announced these shows way back, it was supposed to be Falcon and the Winter Soldier being the lead offs because they were very popular from that. So, that affects it too a little bit in terms of like, I don't think this was. I mean, clearly, it was not Disney's original plan to do it this way. COVID changed that and everything, but. It's just kind of fascinating to watch all of these factors play out and how that affects things going forward because, if there's less buzz around this show, does that decrease the buzz around Falcon and the Winter Soldier? I would say there's some type of correlation probably there.
I will say the initial reaction to it seems very positive online to WandaVision, to these first 2 episodes.
So definitely.
Seems to be pretty high optimism, and people are really praising Scarlet Witch, Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany. Is Elizabeth Olsen, right?
Correct.
Oh, thank God.
Christian, you wrote it down at the bottom.
I didn't. I copy and pasted.
Wow.
All right, I think that's going to do it for us. We're not going to apologize for talking for an hour and 20 minutes.
No.
And if you made it to the end, congratulations. We're going to give you a fantastic surprise. And that surprise is where you can find us on social media. And that's going to be on Twitter at Was It Good, Instagram at Was It Good BTM. As always, we live stream this podcast Monday and Friday on twitch.tv/Was It Good. Monday's going to be an interesting podcast. And we also have a website, wasitgood.info. Make sure you go and subscribe. Over there, we do have a newsletter that is being worked on. Krishna will be typing it.
I will?
Yes, in XML and HTML5. Goodbye.
Bye.
Do you know what HTML is, Krishna?
Yeah, it's the web language.
It's the language of life.
It's the language of the webs.
What do you want to do for the social clips?
Yo, mama. Lots of good stuff in there.
Should we do the S.W.O.R.D discussion?
Yeah.
Will people care about that? That's so tricky about this show right now. It's like, what are people actually going to care about?
I think S.W.O.R.D is a good one because even if people don't know what that's about, there will be enough discussion around it, being like, oh, S.W.O.R.D, talking about it, and people are going to go look to see what that is. I think it'd be good, personally.
All right, let's do it.
If you know what I'm saying.
S.W.O.R.D.
I think also the discussion around does this work for the MCU?
Like the one we had at the end right there?
Yeah. I think that works. You knew I was going to say no?
No, but I didn't. I thought you would say yes, but
I didn't either. I actually
I'm
started.
not shocked. I'm not shocked. That you
Yeah,
said
I started this podcast being like, yeah, it was good, and then I
Thought about
was it though? Like, is this something I would actually like watch ever again? I'm like, probably not.
Well, there's a lot of things though that can be good that you would never see again. There are plenty.
Name 2 things.
Triple Frontier.
That's not good to
was
me.
good. Well, I'm talking about me. But there's a lot. Things can be good.
You never,
find them entertaining.
you'll never watch Triple Frontier again.
No, I already have, so that's already a lie.
Wait, you did?
Yeah. And I still enjoyed it.
Have you also? By the way, speaking about Triple Frontier, they're
Moon Knight?
Netflix dropped a promo thing for their 2021 slate of movies.
Oh,
they're going to be dropping a new movie every single week.
Yep.
Wait, Netflix?
Netflix, yeah.
Really pushing that
Holy
movie.
shit.
Couple of things. So it ended with Leonardo DiCaprio is going to be on a Netflix movie, which to me is kind of huge
That's
because
the biggest one. Yeah.
he's a big name actor. Like, he's good.
If it's not Titanic 2, I don't
No.
care.
But then there was
Debatable if it's
there's
good.
also a shot in there where Chris Hemsworth is on a boat, and I haven't gone back to look, but it looks like the kid from Triple Frontier is next to him. So I don't know if this is the sequel. But you know,
Wow.
I will watch that movie half asleep to do the podcast.
I assume you will not watch the movie.
We're still streaming, by the way.
Lag and cheese, hello.
We're only an hour late.
To go back to your point of you saying no, I did see it coming because I am Vision.
By the way, the name Glamour and what was the other magician name?
Oh, Illusion.
Is there a reference? Did anyone bother to look? Is there a reference?
I didn't look it up.
Yeah. Because Vision's supposed to be Illusion, and Scarlet Witch was Glamour. The characters.
Oh wait, there is something.
Yeah,
Glamour
I,
and
mean,
illusion.
I think there's a lot of.
Isn't it
Easter eggs.
Isn't it the name of a famous? I don't know. I'm just making shit up now. What should I do for the description?
So it's Glynis and Aya Zarkov were 2 magicians named Glamour and Illusion
In the MCU or real life?
in Marvel comics.
Oh, that's what I meant. Marvel.
Matter manipulation.
Were they alter egos?
They had Illusion had the superhuman ability to control mentally the molecules of anything he touched for 1 minute after he touched it. Nothing about Glamour though. But they were a married couple. I think this is just a reference.
It could be, or within this little dimension, they're gonna play superheroes on the sitcom.
Could
And these are like they're gonna create like these personas who break out of the dimension and become real. Boom, solved. That should have been my prediction if I had known about that, but I didn't.
Your mold prediction.
My moldy prediction. Yes. Cool. Cool.
Von Miller's under investigation.
Yep.
Well, we gotta wait because there's been a lot of back and forth on that one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Do you have any idea what it's about?
So what happened last week was his girlfriend or fiance released some text messages that, or they were leaked that revealed, that had some compromising stuff about him. But then the same woman came out and talked about how those were taken out of context and that her and Vaughn are very much like in line. So we have to let the legal system play out and see what comes of it.
That's weird.
But just another day.
Another day.
No, let's just jump it and be like, fuck it.
Let's just assume. I like
Fuck it.
Fuck it. We'll do it live. Cool. Okay. So do we have enough social clips?
We have 2 right now.
Yeah, that sounds
I think that's good.
Yeah. Sounds about right. Cool. We're still
And then Monday's all news, right? And news and Attack on Titan if it's good.
Attack on Titan, yeah.
Wait. if it's good.
I have a theory that it's not. I think it's going to be a talking power-up episode.
Oh, no.
They already Aaron's
ended with,
already
him
Aaron's already
eating,
there.
like,
Right,
already
sure,
like this.
sure. My theory there is we're going to go somewhere else.
Flashback? Oh.
Either we're going to go to a flashback or we're going to go back to Paradise Island.
Actually, I can see a flashback.
And then the last 5 minutes are and that's the entire everything that we get. It's just flashbacks. Because remember, Arjuna said like, "I'd like to see this character development of Aaron." You're gonna get your wish.
Juno made this happen. Retconned.
You
Retroactively, I should say.
No, we're not gonna do that. There's only 3 episodes.
2 days later.
Because what? There's only 3 episodes until they do a break.
Oh,
How long's the break for?
Do you guys remember how long the break was for season 3?
I feel like
It was
it
like
was at
2
least
months.
6 months. Oh.
So I would assume it's that long, especially because there's only supposed to be 16 for Attack on Titan, then there's the break, and the manga finishes in April. I imagine.
Oh God, don't say it.
I think it's gonna be like late this year, like end of summer at the earliest.
Wow.
Would be my assumption. I don't know. I don't know how early they get access to the manga. Well, doesn't the author works on the show?
I would assume so.
I think.
I would assume so, but
Are you sure the break's then? It might actually be now.
What?
Like
Wait.
after this Warhammer Titan episode.
you think so?
Because IMDb has nothing listed after that.
No, but sometimes they're slow to update. In terms
Like they don't get the information until late.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. 36.
Yeah, according to Wikipedia,
Oh, the far superior Wikipedia.
there's episode 6. The Warhammer Titan is January 18th. Assault is on January 25th.
Oh, spoiler.
And then Assassin's Bullet is February 1st. And there's nothing else listed after that. Oh, we do have a little bit of a spoiler here. Well, not a spoiler, but a little bit of insight into the episode releases. So the Japanese releases for the home media of the show. So episodes 1 through 8, which will stop airing on February 1st, will be released on home media May 19th, 2021. Episodes 68 to 75 will be released on July 21st, 2021. So it's about a 2-month difference.
2 months, yeah.
So I would say the break will be 2 months.
That's interesting. They'll be right around the Olympics. If the Olympics happen.
That's
I mean, there's a lot of question if
that's
even gonna
brilliant
happen, right?
synergy if it does.
If the Olympics do not happen this year, it is canceled.
Oh my God!
Right.
Could you imagine? So the Tokyo government or Japan government,
Yes. All the
they
promotional
built
material
out
for the
real.
Olympics.
They built out real life fucking Titans that will show up.
I would do it. I mean, they
Coronavirus
should do it.
Was just a
It was
campaign by Attack on Titan.
Oh my God, we're not gonna say it. Anyway, thank you for watching the live stream. We're gonna get out of here. We'll be back live on Sunday for Krishna and his food dude. He's gonna be eating food.
What should I eat? What do the people want to
I've
see?
been craving.
You have a mandate.
I do actually.
A mandate?
Yes.
Me and Liam are gonna fly drones on Sunday.
Shout out to Lerman.
I thought you meant like mandate, like you have a mandate where you can't eat like sugary foods or something.
Oh, a mandate.
I was confused.
That's
hilarious.
What kind of
I have a
mandate?
mandate where
My
I
name is
cannot
Ravi Ramgopal, and my mandate is not to eat sugary foods
eat on Sunday.
on Sundays, the Lord's day.
Yeah, what should I eat? Should I get pizza?
Why didn't you try?
Indian?
Why didn't you try making your own sushi?
Oh, we could do that. Well, the game's on,
So
so that it wouldn't be.
you actually
great-
gonna pay attention to the game?
Yeah.
Christian, you paying attention to the game is typically like you on your phone.
No, that's you
I've
watching
seen-
WandaVision.
I've seen
That's you
I saw
watching
you.
anything.
I
Hold
saw
on a
you
sec.
on your phone.
on my phone real quick.
That's Christian watching Stargate.
He doesn't watch
don't.
Stargate.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I go in my room
Exactly.
and play video
Yeah,
games.
Christian on his phone is him escaping to his dungeon and playing his PlayStation 5, which has recently been unlocked.
Oh, thank God.
Did it? You got it back? Nice.
Yeah. It's been about.
He got it back last weekend, remember?
I think it was
That
last
was the whole
weekend.
thing.
No, I
I
remember.
can't believe it's been a
Sunday.
week already. I've been binging Skyrim like no tomorrow.
It's pronounced Scram.
I finally beat the Dark Brotherhood quest line.
Are you going to try and beat the
wonderful.
game?
I mean, the Skyrim is so big and has
And
so many
boring.
quests. So you do one and then you're like, I need a break. So
But there's like a main story, right?
there's a main story, but the thing about Skyrim is there is, but you don't have to do it. You don't have to do anything.
Skyrim is so big and so boring, it just bored Arjuna there.
How?
He was
Yeah,
yawning
well.
as you were talking about it.
No, I actually like RPGs, though.
If you've never played Skyrim,
You would love Skyrim in VR.
I haven't played Skyrim because it would consume too much of my life.
Yeah.
And there's other games I want to play ahead of it, like Red Dead Redemption 2 and the Spider-Man games. And
The Spider-Man games are perfect. Red Dead Redemption 2.
it's Red Dead Redemption.
It is
Yeah,
Red Dead
yeah, you got it
Redemption.
right.
I thought I said it wrong. I was like,
Red
is it Red Dead Redemption? Red
Red
Dead Redemption.
Red Redemption.
I thought it was Red Dead Bed. head redemption.
Bedhead redemption.
Burpity boopity poo.
Oh,
We're still streaming.
Yeah, I know.
yeah. I got to work out.
All right,
Really?
good. All right. Well, should we just rearrange the cameras a little bit and continue the stream?
Get that ASMR fitness crew in.
There we go. We just changed the tags up. Changed the title.
Wow.
Diversify. Our
All right.
portfolio
Goodbye.
and our stuff.
Goodbye.